Hello, my name is Matt. Welcome to Unbearable 73. So we have a new show on my review list, Dark Winds, Episode 1, Monster Slayer. Now, my initial read on this show, based on clips and what people said, was that it was some sort of modern Western show with supernatural elements, maybe kind of like Outer Ranges, for example. It might not be either of those, but rather a dark police procedural steeped in the time period that it's set in and using Navajo folklore. But we have to see. So what is Dark Winds? Dark Winds is the latest adaptation of the novels in a series initially written by Anthony G. Hillerman and continued by one of his daughters, Anne Hillerman. The novel series started in 1970 with The Blessing Way. In the novels that were written by Anthony G. Hillerman, the two protagonists are Joe Leaphorn and Jim Chi. Leaphorn's a lieutenant, and Chi is just a regular officer in the Navajo Tribal Police. The two characters have separate adventures until the seventh novel, entitled Skinwalkers, when they become partners. I think this season is based on that novel for the most part. The novels continue by the daughters. Sideline Leaphorn after he almost dies in an assassination attempt. I think he's in a coma or something for like most of the novel. And feature Chi and his wife, Officer Bernadette Manuelito, as the main characters. The show begins by getting Leaphorn and Chi together right away, with a plot that I am guessing comes from the novel Skinwalker that I just mentioned. Right. The show is being done as a time period piece, which is good, and we know it's set from 73 and 76. And I applaud that decision. I like it when they do good time period shows. So I want to talk about the production now, and only in the first episode review will I really go over this production stuff, just because they tend to film these 6 to 12 episode shows as one long movie, so not much is going to change about the production is likely to change. But I will highlight like a good special effect or something, and if it comes up in later episodes. So on the visuals, at least in this first episode, the visuals are filled with stunning shots of the Arizona and New Mexico desert, which is where this is set and where it was filmed. We can only hope for and enjoy more of that as the next 5 episodes unfold. On the direction, Chris Erie, who directs the first 2 episodes, is himself an American Indian, and that may be giving him insight on the tribal aspects of the story and portraying them effectively and realistically, and not in a romanticized version, for example, a way which can often happen with, if you've seen a lot of Italian mob movies where they romanticize the mob and things like that. It's the same sort of thing with any culture, I guess. That if you don't necessarily need to be an insider in the culture to be able to, not overly romanticize it or overly make it look bad or whatever, but it can help. Yeah. On the writing, the showrunner and creator is Graham Rowland. And this guy's had a proven successful trail of success in these type of season-long story shows, so to speak. He worked on Almost Human. That was a TV show that was sadly canceled after only 1 season. You also go find it and watch it. He worked on The Returned. He worked on several seasons of Prison Break, and he worked on the Amazon Jack Ryan TV show. The first season was pretty good. Second season had good parts and really bad parts. It got very politically preachy. On the acting, now this is my primary reason for being interested in this show. The actor who plays Joe Leaphorn, okay, and his name, you've seen him in many other things. Zach McClarnon, sorry, not Zach, Zahn McClarnon. He is, how do I put it? In Longmire, he played Tribal Chief Matthias. That's who you probably would most well know from TV. But he's been in many other things. To give you some examples, where you might have seen him, Bone Tomahawk in that movie, he played the professor in there. In Dr. Sleep, he played Crow Daddy. He was in the Forever Purge. He was Chiago. What else has he been in? Hell, he was even in Baywatch many years ago, playing an American Indian. In the TV show Dangerous Minds, he plays which he played Carlos Montalvo for a few episodes. I'm trying to find someone else plays Longmire. In Fargo, he played Hansi Dent for 9 episodes, and so that's as much as I can give you as far as you might have seen him before. But you've seen him in a lot of stuff, right? And again, I've enjoyed his work in anything he's done, even if what he's done has been stupid. Like the Forever Purge. Now, the rest of the cast does a good job just as being presented in this first episode. Kiowa Gordon plays Jim Chi. Jim Chi and Joe Leaphorn are the two main characters in this. You might remember Kiowa Gordon from Twilight as Embry Call, from the Twilight movies. Jessica Mitten plays Sergeant Bernadette Manuelito. Deanna Allison plays Emma Leaphorn, Joe's wife. Rainn Wilson plays someone named Devoted Dan, who we've not seen in the show yet. We might have seen him, but I don't know if it's his name or not. Anyway, Elva Guerrera plays Sally Growing Thunder. Jeremy Mitsui plays Husky. Eugene Braverock plays Frank Nakai. Noah Emmerich plays Widover, whom Leaphorn calls High Pockets. So in the special effects, there's been no real need for a lot of special effects. There's one scene that I'll mention indirectly in a few minutes. On sound and audio, like a lot of modern shows, sound audio has been excellent. Even shows that in and of themselves were at best average. In my head, I think of this as the supernatural effect. Basically, people learned, either having worked on that show, have seen how successful it was using music well-timed to different scenes, and modern music that people would appreciate or hear in their day-to-day, not some sort of 1700 obscure classical piece that they think, I love that song since I was in college. I must make everyone hear it. Anyway. But they time it to the plot, and it makes you really get into it more. Now let's just talk about the plot, and this is going to be a spoiler, kind of a mid-spoilery type review at most, because this is the type of review where I do a heavy spoiler. I go full spoilers in the beginning of the next episode review with the past episode, as you can read on the screen now. The show opens with an armored car robbery. It's a fairly straightforward scene, which mainly gains plot relevance when we see the helicopter fly out over the desert into Navajo territory. We see the helicopter fly on over the homestead of a Navajo man that we later learn is named Hostine So. Then we transition to a time period 3 weeks later. We see Hostine knocking on a door. He wants to use the services of a medicine woman as he's ill. A character named Anna Atsidi answers the phone. Hostine has body aches and a fever and some other symptoms for the better part of 2 weeks. The old woman, who's blind, asks him if he has had dreams of a witch. He says no, but he says that he got sick after he saw the helicopter flying over his land. Now, finally, we meet one of our main heroes, which is Lieutenant Joe Leaphorn. We see him drive up to the same motel that Hostine So entered in the prior scene. An informant points him to the hotel room that the characters were in. Anna, the old blind medicine woman, and Hostine. Leaphorn enters and he finds Hostine So dead with his eyes cut out, his throat slit, and his organs removed. We get more details on that in an autopsy scene later, but I can't talk about that till the full spoilers. Anna Atsidi is dead of no discernible cause in the bathtub, and Grandma Atsidi, who is blind, she's completely silent and in shock. Now, there's a follow-up that I will talk about briefly, where Leaphorn takes Grandma Atsidi back to our home on the reservation, and we see Anna's mother and father, and we clearly establish that they have some sort of prior relationship with Leaphorn. I won't mention more about the spoilers, but the father is initially hostile to Leaphorn. He blots out a comment that makes you know that there's more going on between the families. So our mystery show is basically set in motion. And as an audience, we see the connections up front from what we, obviously the scenes only we see as from the narrative point of view. So let's talk about the subplots. Now, one of the main ones that's introduced that is different from the helicopter we saw in Hostine to So being sick is Emma. Leaphorn's wife Emma is a nurse at a local government clinic that serves the reservation. She alerts her husband to the case of a pregnant young woman or girl who looks to be between 16 and 20 named Sally Growing Thunder. And Emma's translating between Sally and the doctor, and the doctor wants to have her. She's having a difficult pregnancy, or the doctor claims that, so he wants to have her deliver in the clinic as opposed to with the tribe and natural childbirth and all that, right? And so she's translating, but then she tells Anna, and you go deliver, and then he'll sterilize you right after that. And and that's how we know this is set between 1973 and 1976, because this ties into an actual historical event or crime committed by the U.S. government when the Indian Health Service sterilized several thousand American Indians, women that were provably in. There was a General Accounting Office study that examined 4 Indian Health Service areas or regions which were non-compliant with IHS policies regarding consent. And they found out that between 73 and 76, 3,406 women were sterilized without legal consent. That was only 4 IHS regions. There have been varying numbers put forth that indicate the potential up to 70,000 American Indian women were sterilized in this time period. Now, it should be noted this practice was not limited to American Indian women, but other minorities as well as poor white women were subjected to this via government agencies that distribute health care. Sterilization of the poor as well as minority groups was and is a popular idea among certain left-leaning groups of liberals. It's called the Eugenics Movemennt, or the other. I'm not going to get too political in this, but I have links below to go over the historical stuff and mention several links below if you want to read more about it. Yeah. This subplot seems to center on something going on at Sally's home, the one that led Emma to that started with Emma talking in the clinic. Emma goes to tell Joe about that. She says that she senses that something's trouble at this girl's home. So it's not connected to the sterilization thing. This is connected to something else. The sterilization thing only comes up in the translation, which gives you the time period of the show. So Emma says her instincts are telling her that something's trouble at this girl's house, and Joe makes a comment like, "Why do your instincts always get me in trouble?" Then have a little sort of anger, husband and wife type thing, and then he apologizes, "I love you," blah blah blah. So now the possibility that there could be a supernatural element in this show comes from this subplot. It's one maybe 2 minute or less scene. When you get to where Lee Point sends Sergeant Manuelito and Chi to investigate Sally's home situation at the urging of his wife. Okay, so let me know what you think when you see that scene. You'll know it when you see it. Is it supernatural? Is it something masquerading as supernatural that's scientific, like use of chemicals to make someone do a reaction, or is it just total misdirection by the director, even to the point of fooling you with visual effects? Now there's a subplot in this, obviously, that introduces Jim Chi. He's sent undercover by the FBI as a tribal police officer. He's an actual FBI agent because his supervisor, who Lee Porn, as I mentioned, calls Wire Pockets, and his name supervising agent Widover. He thinks that the robbery was committed by a radical American Indian activist, a group named the Buffalo Society, and High Pockets alludes to the fact that Chi may have some connection to or knowledge of that group. It's a little kind of one statement drop. And Hightower also puts some pressure on Chi, saying, "Who's your real tribe? You're part of the FBI." And that's a mentality with the FBI. If they consider the FBI to be their membership of the FBI to be more stronger than most other group affiliations you might have. Something we wouldn't say over the family. I've talked to guys, relatives who worked in there who've been in the FBI, and they've mentioned that there's pressure on the Bureau from that sort of thing. But whatever comes across as very slimy, he kind of indicates that breaking this case will fix his career and also elevate Chi's career. So, hopefully we'll have more on him that's not so slimy. Now, that's all I want to say so far without going full spoiler. There's a lot of nice other stuff in this episode. I'll talk more about, but I want you to watch it and not, before I go ultra detail on the plots, let it unfold for you. I'm rating this one 8 out of 10. Show's gotten off to a good start. The cast is good in the first episode. The story is intriguing. Even if there's no supernatural element, this could be another Long Mile style show in the making, which will make me happy. Comment down below if you have any questions for me about this video. Please share your thoughts. Share this video if you enjoyed it. Like if you like. Dislike if you dislike. Subscribe if you want to hear more from me. My name is Matt. This has been Unbearable 73. Have a nice day, and I am out of here.